morning, sewers. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Donna with Aunties Sewing Kits, and my husband Dan is behind the camera. We are doing block 10 of the Solare Block of the Month. The fabric is done by Banyan Batiks, and the pattern is done by Bound To Be Quilting. Now, this one is a little bit tricky, but it's not anything difficult. It's just we've got 3 separate blocks going on this time instead of just the one block. So we've got, I made mine, so this is block 10, so I got my block 10 pin. I'm just going to leave it in this one for right now. So we've got this one that I labeled block A because it's the first one on the pattern. And then this one I labeled block B because it's the second one in the pattern. I didn't want to put numbers on it because that might be a little confusing with the other numbers. And then this one is block C. It's the third one in the pattern. And we're only making one block of each of these. So we are going to start with block A, of course, because it's the first one. I'm going to set these ones aside over here, and we'll leave this one out. So this is block of the month 10, and we're working on the first block in the pattern, which I labeled block A. Well, let's get started on block A. What I did though is I cut all the fabric out at the same time, and then I labeled it block A fabric, block B fabric, and block C fabric, and stacked it together. So I didn't have to go back and cut for each one. You can do it any way you want, but that's just the way I did it to stay organized. So let's start on the first process here. We're going to take the bigger blocks of fabric 10, and we are going to take the bigger blocks of fabric 2, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the back side, which with the Batiks, again, it's, you know, can't really tell. These look like both the front sides, so I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to go from corner to corner, and I'm just going to draw a line. Now I use a Sharpie because this is going to get cut anyways and nobody's ever going to see it, and it just makes it easier for me to see. And then we're just going to put that line down the middle there, and then we're going to put the right sides together on this one. So that's, I think that's the right side, so we're going to put that on that one. We're going to put this on this one, and then I'm just going to sew these up real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew 1/4 inch on this side of the line, then I'm going to turn around and sew 1/4 inch on that side of the line. Just to make sure that's matched up good. And I'll just sew this real quick. And I put a contrasting thread in here for you, but it's brown, and we've got brown fabric, so that did not work out for me very well, but turn around and we'll do the other side. And then we'll get the other one done real quick. Make sure it's all nice and even here. A tip of the day is make sure your hands aren't dry and you put lotion on before you started, so you can manipulate the fabric and get it perfect easier. So your fingers will stick a little bit better to the fabric. Be able to move it around. Alright, one more sew here. There we go. Alright, so what we're going to do is I give it a press because I want to relax those threads and set the seam, so they say. It really does help. And then I'm going to take my little ruler here and we're going to cut it in half. Move that aside. Now I have 2 rotary cutters. I know I mentioned this before, but this rotary cutter, it's called True Cut, and it goes right up against the ruler, and it makes it really easy to make a true cut when you're cutting against a ruler. But the bad thing about this ruler is if you're trying to freehand cut something, you can't really see because you got all that stuff in the way that goes up against the ruler. So then I have my trusty old, I think this is a Fiscus, yep, that I can see around and do that. So I've always got two near me. Okay, so we've already set that seam. So I'm going to open this up to the blue. I always try to make it go to the dark side, but in this case they're both dark. I'm going to finger press that first before I do that, because otherwise it might be a little wonky when you're working with these small ones. So I'm going to do that, make sure it looks good, and then give it some steam. I'm going to set that there for a second and set up my next one. We're going to give it a finger press, because you don't want to stretch that fabric either. Make sure it's all good. Give it a steam. And if you are using a wool mat like I'm using, make sure it's not on a good wool table or something, because that steam will go through it. But I do love my wool mat. There we go. Nice press. Alright, and then the weight of the iron kind of helps weight it down too. Alright, so for this one, now I got to switch out my rulers, because I want to take these little dog ears off. Taking the dog ears off, I know isn't always necessary, and I've been guilty of leaving them on there, but it does make it very bulky in the corners there when you're sewing, and then also it can make it a little obscure when you're sewing, not these ones particularly, but sometimes it'll make it so you can't line up easier. And when we're working with all these little blocks, anything that makes it easier is a good thing. Alright, and I will save those. Okay, so we've got these done, so we're going to set these aside. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take fabric, fabric 10, which is this one, and we're going to take fabric 7, which is this one, and we are going to then sew these together. So this side looks a little bit brighter to me. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine really quick and sew this up. So I want, looks better to me. And I'm going to sew this side and I'm going to sew this side, and then I'm going to press it before I put on the other one. Now the best way to do this is fold it in half. Give it a nice little crease there. And then we're going to take this point and put it right on there. I generally just eyeball, but to get it nice and precise to add up, especially with these little blocks again, anytime I'm using little blocks, it's better to do things the correct way instead of the easy way. And now it's lined up with that point exactly. And then I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch stitch here. Get the other side sewed down, and I'm going to do the same thing with that. I'm going to put that right on that crease and get it nice and even. And then I'll give a 1/4 inch stitch again. Okay, now my cutter didn't cut. There we go. So we're going to go over here and we're going to give it a nice press. And then I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to give it a nice little finger press. Give it a nice little finger press. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of steam. The flatter you can get these, the better. And then I'm going to cut those old dog ears off again. There we go. And now I'm going to stick these ones on each side there. So I'm just going to sew this up real quick. I can't tell which side's the good side. Now you can take and bend it again. Make sure you've got it all lined up. It's a little bit trickier when you try to bend it the other way. Just make sure that you get the two orange sides lined up. There we go. Give it a nice crease there. Alright. Again with a 1/4 inch. We're going to turn around, do the other side. There we go. Back in business. Okay, now we're going to give it a press. Then I'm going to finger press this seam open. Finger press this seam open. Give it a steam. Alright, and we've got a block. Okay, so we made that one. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch more of those, but we are going to use fabric number 2, I believe this is. No, fabric 3, fabric 2, and fabric 7. And so then we got more of these made exactly like that, but we changed the colors up a little bit there. So we've got that and that together now. And let's see, now we have the rows to put together. So this one's fairly quick. So we're going to take these ones back. This one's the middle one. So now we're going to do the top row, which the top row is going to be this one going this way. Now it's upside down, but actually it's reversible, so I guess not. We're going to put that one there, then we're going to put one of these like this, and then we're going to put this one here like this. That goes in the middle, and we're just going to worry about that for right now. So we're going to sew this one on like this, and I will be right back. And now sometimes I like to press this open before I do the next one, but this one isn't so tiny, and I can just give it a finger press. The really tiny ones, I'll press it open before I put the next one on, just to make sure I got it lined up good. All right. Pressed nice. Give it a little steam. Now these ones I'm doing to the outside. The middle one I will do to the inside, and then the last one I'll do back to the outside, because then it'll nest when you put them all together. So we got top row done. So now we're going to flip our page over. And we're going to make the middle row, which, well, actually we can make the top row again, and then we'll make the middle row. So we're going to do another one of these. Just the same. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing we just did with the other one. I'm just going to do it really quick here. There we go. this to the outside again. Okay, now we got the bottom because we just spin it around. Now the middle part we are going to put darks to the outside and put this in the middle. Oh, I got a thread there. There you go. And then that in the middle. So one more here. So let's see, so I'm going to take this one, and I got that one. There we go. Get it all lined up. Got that one finger pressed really good, and I already set the seam on that one. Get this one. Okay. Now all we got to do is sew all these three together, and we've got ourselves a block. So now that I did this one, the opposite directions of the other ones, I can interlock these, so I know this needs to match here. So I'm just going to lock that in now. And then I'm going to make sure it goes to this side where it needs to lock in. So it's nice and straight. Get this first block all straight there. I'm going to start sewing, and then I'll worry about the next point. Now I just sewed over that interlocking there, and then I'll fix my other interlocking and make sure that's all straight. Now I sewed over that interlocking, and I'll come down here and make sure the bottom's all lined up good. Alright. Set the seam on that. Give it a little nudge there. It's kind of hot. Alright. Sure, that's starting getting pretty hot by this iron here. It's a small one, but it's a mighty one. I don't usually drag the iron over, but in this case, because of the wetness and all the steam that I use, you kind of need to get it straightened back out. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing. This one. Get that locking lined up. Make sure it's lined up on this side as well. It is. Okay, now check the next point here. There we go. cinched up my thread a little bit from that little hiccup. There we go. And now since I did this one this way, I'm going to do this one this way as well, so it's all kind of uniformed. Nice. All nice and evened out. Okay, and then it does give you, I'm not going to be able to do it, it's too, my little round thing's too small. I'm going to set that over there off of the steamed area. And it gives you the dimensions of how big the block should be, and I like to just square it up. So I'm going to take my lines here and make sure they're going corner to corner as best I can. Get it all lined up really well here. And then I'm going to take my True Cut ruler, or cutter. Now it's easier if I could have done it on that, but this block's a little bit too big. Alright. And I'll do this. And this is where it's nice to have a husband that dives, because I stole his bags. If you want to know what that is, if you're not a diver. In that way, it'll hold the ruler still a little bit for me, because I can't rotate this, and I don't want to pick it up and move it. And then we'll get this side. I just love those little sea bags. There we go. Okay, now we're all squared up. Let's take a look-see. Ta-da! Now we got 2 of them, because I'm making 2 quilts, so I have double of everything. But you'll only need to make 1. So there we are. We've got block 10A done, and again, I made up the A. It's just because it was the first one on there. And then we've got, now we're going to move over to, I'm going to move all this out of the way. I don't want to stab myself, so I'm just going to stab it over here. So now this is block A. I'm going to stick this over here. And we'll set up now for block of the month 10B. So now we're going to work on this one. So now this one, I made the patterns just the same way as I did all the other patterns. I just took a lightweight cardboard, laid the pattern on there, used an X-Acto knife, case cutter, whatever you have. Carpenter's knife, if your husband has one of those. Don't tell him. So just cut around it, and then I just taped it down with Scotch tape and made the patterns out of the book. It was just easier for me, and then I have it because I made more. So we got pattern M, reverse, pattern M regular, and L. So for this one, we are going to take, let's see here, let me get these pulled apart. We're going to make this one first. And so I left one. I did these up ahead of time just to save some time on the video. And we are going to take fabric number 2. This is fabric 2. And we are going to take fabric 7. So we got fabric 2, fabric 7, and we want points up here. So I'm going to turn it around this way for me, and I'm going to put points up here and points up here. So I'm going to sew one side on and then iron and then sew the other side on, because you get this point here and you want to make sure it's all nice and squared up. So I'm going to take this one over to the sewing machine and I'll be right back. Just going to sew that up real quick. And then this fabric 2 is a little bit darker than 7, so I just fold it that way. But it doesn't really matter, they're both dark. And now I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it back in the position, because I want to make sure I get it on there. I don't want to have to rip it out. So that's the way it goes. So now I'm going to do it this way, and then I'll get it set how I want it over here. A little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, and since I did it to the inner side, I'm going to do it to the inner side again, because we want to keep everything congruent. There we go. Okay, so now we should have, I think, 4 of these. Yep, we have 4 of these. Magic, it's all done. Okay, so then the next thing we want to do is we want to take fabric 3 and fabric 10, and we want to sew these little triangles together. So we had a bunch of these cut and we had a bunch of these cut, which is these, and we just made a square. I didn't think I really needed to do that one on TV for you. So now we're going to make these, which I sewed a bunch of those together, but I saved one to sew. So with these ones, the idea is we want to get it so it's when you put that little diamond in there, it's going to line up perfectly like that. So I'm going to take this and flip this one over and sew it on this way. I'm going to take the corner here and match it up. There we go, we got a square. And I'm going to flip it up just to make sure I'm sewing it on the right place, and I'm not. That's why you do that. I'm going to flip that up. Yes. So you want to sew on the side with the fabric 10. You don't want to sew on this side. You want to make sure you sew on that side. So I'm going to sew that together real quick here. And we're going to get that pressed open. A lot of pressing. Now I'm not pressing to the dark side this time, which is very bad, but it's going to make it better. And then I'm going to just cut this little thing off right now. Just make it even there. And then I want to make sure when I sew that on, it's going to go all the way across. So we're going to line this corner up, and then we're going to make sure we sew on fabric 10, the brown fabric again. Get that all lined up. Again, these are all 1/4 inches. Alright, And so I pressed to the lighter fabric this time because it's just going to be so much easier to press this. It's hard to press open when you got that little seam in there, and I like to make everything congruent and the same. Alright, and now we're just going to take this little point off. And see, we got a nice little, whatever that is. What are they calling that? They're not calling it anything, so it's a half triangle. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take fabric 10. We have a block here. And with fabric 10, we are going to do the same thing as we did with that other one. I'm going to see if I can tell. No. We're going to put these two on, and then we're going to put two on this side. And again, we can press it. Make sure. Because I think this, yeah, this is going to be the middle block again. Then we'll make sure we get that in there. Alright, there we go. Put that down. Flip it around. Didn't cut again. Yeah, I think my machine needs a good cleaning. But I just cleaned it. But then I did do a lot of sewing, so it was new when I got it. There we go. Okay. Nice press. And again, I think I'm going to do the light side, although I hate doing that, but I think it's just going to look better. Give it about a steam. Cut these little tips off, make it even again. Alright. Give this a finger press to find the middle. Side. Get this side on. Yeah, these blocks go together pretty quickly. Little finger press. Make sure it all looks good. Give it about a steam. And we're going to take and cut those little dog ears off once again. Okay, now we got that one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these. Put that aside. And we're going to take one of these and one of these. And we are going to put that way, that one that way. So this should be down, and then you want this block number, I think that's the 2 fabric, or the 3 fabric, the 3 fabric, next to the 7. And then the corners of the 10 fabric facing out. So I'm going to take this Put it this way. Line that corner up. And I'll give it a sew real quick. This back down here to make sure I got everything going the way I need it to go. I'm going to line that corner up just like I did the other one. I'll give it a sew. I can get that lined up. There we go. Okay. A lot of pressing. It's making it very hot in here. Okay, now I'm going to cut these dog ears off and make it go all the way across, nice and neat. There we go. And we are going to make 2 of those. I'm going to set that there for right now. Move this one back down this way. Alright, so if you have any comments or anything, leave it down below and we will be sure to get back to you with it. This one's just got a lot going on this time. It's got 3 blocks, but they're pretty easy. I mean, you see it's going together really quickly. I saw that and I go, 3 blocks? Really? It's supposed to be a block of the month. But, yeah, they go together really quickly. And the cutting was super fast. So, even though there's 3, it's not as scary as the pattern makes it look, saying 3. So, yeah, we're almost done with block 2 already, so. Alright, get little dog ears off. That over there. Now what we're going to do is turn the page, because this is too much for me to remember. Usually I don't really have to refer to it, but this is a lot of blocks. Got a lot going on. Okay, so this now is the middle block. And then we got these 2 that go on the outside, so we're going to poke that one that way and poke that one that way. So the little arrows come in and the big portions go out. And we're just going to get that sewed together real quick. Here. Make sure that's all lined up good. So, all right. Well, this is the dark side, so we want to do that anyway. We're not going to have nesting if we do that. So, to the light side again it is. I should have done that one the other direction because of that. So you got a thick head. There we go. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew one of these on top, and we're going to sew one of these on bottom. See, it's coming together. We don't have a square yet, but it's getting there. So I'm going to take this one and do the same thing as I did when we did block A. I'm going to match these interchanging blocks up there. Make sure it's straight on the other side. Sewed on. Sew over the lock and then lock the other one in. There's a lot of fabric right there. Make sure this matches up to the end of there. Alright. Go. Alright, we're coming along now. Look at that. We got one more side to do. We have this quilt done in no time. This is 10, and then we've got 2 more months left, and then we've got the sashing and the binding to do, and the quilting, of course. About done with this one now. Look at us go. Yeah, I definitely need to try cleaning it. Give my sewing machine some love. It's Sewing Machine Love Day. Get it all set down. Okay. Sure it flips the correct direction all the way across. And see, I've been steaming this so it shrinks it because of all the wetness. And so now it doesn't want to. There we go. I'll give this a steam. That's what happens when you love your steam. Steamed up. That's why we don't really have to wash the fabric before we do it anymore, because we steam it so much it shrinks it already. The backing you'd still want to, but All right. Now look what we got. Yay! Now what we're going to do is cut off these little tails here that need to be cut. Just a couple. Okay. Then we've got fabric 2 again, and we got these corners. So these corners are going to go on each of the fabric 10. So it's just going to go on top of itself, really, to extend that out to make a square. So we're going to put each one here on each side. So I'm just going to go to the machine and do that real quick. And then we will press it, and then we will be done. So I'm just going to make sure this is even with the tip here. That I'll put on there good. Okay, let's get it. Get it all pressed. This aside again, and we'll square up our block, and we'll have block B of them up 10 done. So again, I'm just going to measure up these crosshairs here. Make sure I got that all exactly where I want it. Grab one of the sea bags. Squared up. I don't suggest anybody cutting it over themselves like that. That's probably a good way to cut your finger, but I don't do it very often because I usually put it on the rotating mat, but this one is just too big, and I don't like resetting it. I love my rotating mats. So, that all off of there. Alright, let's see what we did. We got another one done. So here's block B. We got 2 of them now. Alright. Another one down. So that's block B, and now we get to move on to block C, which is the last one there. Get all this pins cleaned up here. And then these patterns can be moved aside. We got new ones this time. Bring this back over. Alright. Now see, I didn't sew up anything ahead of time on this one, so we're going to do the whole thing together. So we've got pattern N that we made from the pattern book, and we got pattern P that we made from the pattern book this time. So pattern P is fabric 10, and fabric N is fabric 3. The reason why I didn't sew it ahead of time this time, because I really wanted you to see how this goes together. Doesn't it kind of remind you of a peppermint candy or something? It's really kind of cute. Alright, so this one we are going to first start with the page. Now also, I gotta say on this one, I don't know where my paper went now, but there is a pattern change on this one. And if you got the pattern for me, I'm sending you the pattern change instructions. But on step 3, it says to use the smaller fabric of 7. It's not. It says to use this one, but it's not. You actually use this one on step 3. So if you didn't get the pattern book from me, then you might not have got that information. So I'm just letting you know that there is a little bit of a mistake there. There is another mistake further down too. I'll let you know when we get there. But that sheet will show you both of the mistakes. So save that sheet. So with this one, we are going to sew. It's a little bit trickier to get. We're going to take fabric 10. We're going to put the point down this way towards yourself. And then we're going to sew, again, that both looks the same. So is this? So we're going to sew it like this. So it's going to make a little square there. And we're just going to sew one of the fabric 3 to the fabric 10 on the left side. And we're going to do that 4 times. So each of these should be set out. I usually do it as I'm doing it, but I can do it ahead of time here. And that way you know that you are absolutely doing it correctly, because, yeah, it's better to take a couple extra seconds than have to rip it all out. So now we know we need to do it all this way. So I'm just going to chain it because it's going to go really quicker. So we're just going to line this up really well. See, I need more lotion on my hands. There we go. This is a 1/4 inch. Alright, and then I'm going to take this one and it's going to go this way. We're just going to chain these real quick. There we go. Here. And the last one, and we will get this going. This one actually does go together pretty quickly too. This whole thing does for all 3 of them. I was surprised. Okay. Got those done. Take them apart real quick. My little handy dandy nippers. And I am going to press to the dark side. Get that over. Make sure it's not wonky before we give it about a steam. Last one. Alright, so these ones don't really have any dog ears to cut off. But now what we're going to do is we are going to sew 2 of these together. Alright, so we got that one like that. This one here, and this one here. So we're going to just sew 1/2 together first. Let me do that real quick. sew this half together. Press, and again I'm going to stick to the dark side. That's what I started doing. Now we got half a candy. Dark side. Now we just need to sew these two together. See, it's coming together really quickly. I'm just going to sew these two together now. Then we'll have the centerpiece. And it really wasn't that much cutting, because see, there's not very many pieces, even though it is 3 blocks, but it's just 1 block, so you don't have that much fabric. Alright, so this one you have to press to the dark and the light, because, yeah, it's half and half. But, there we go. Alright, we got our candy piece. See what we did? I'm going to set that aside for just a second. And then we're going to take fabric number 2. And we've got fabric number 2. We got the 7 triangles. The 7. Alright, so it's number 7. And this is where the mistake is. It says to use the smaller triangles, but we're using the bigger triangles because that was a typo in the book. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew each of these on to the fabric 10. So fabric 7 to fabric 10 all the way around. So just like we did last time, we're going to match this up to get it good and even. There we go. Give it a sew. I feel like maybe we should be playing loud music or something since there's not a lot of talking. Yeah, I just got a dirty look from my husband. I was teasing. Sometimes it's tough to say stuff when you're just sewing along. But I would really love to see your guys' blocks that you've got together so far. If you could post them on our Facebook page, Aunties Sewing Kits Facebook page. That would be great to see all of them. And we still do have a couple blocks left. I think we only have 3 left now, but and you can start any time, so you can still join us and all the fun. This has been a lot of fun doing these blocks, I gotta say. Little parts are a little frustrating, but nothing too hairy. I'd say if you're a confident beginner or intermediate, it would be fine. I wouldn't do it for a beginner, but a confident beginner. And you get it all sewed together and you say, look what I did. Nobody ever did that. But you can see each piece, when you break it down, it's not so bad. Get that one steamed. There we go. Okay, now with this one, I like to square this up a little bit. Let me find something here that'll work. Square that up with that. Taking off little tiny dog tails, but also just making sure the side is nice and straight. Because when you put the other stuff on, it's going to make a difference. See, like, you know, it's just got these little dog ears here, but you also have this little weight right there, and I just want to make sure that we have a good starting point when we start adding. Okay, now we got that. Look what we did. It's candy. Alright, now I'm going to set that aside because I think we're going to work on the stuff that goes on the outside of that now. Look at the book though. There's a lot to remember on this one, so I do have to refer to the book on this one. Alright, so now we're going to take fabric number 7 triangles, which is now going to be the tiny ones. And we're going to take fabric number 2, which is this fabric here. Let me get rid of these pins now, I think. And we are going to take the square and we're going to put it together with the triangles. So one of the fabric 2 triangles and one of the fabric 7 triangles. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before on block B. But this time we're going to set it on point, and I'm going to do it towards me. We want fabric 7 on the left side, and we want fabric 2 on the right side. And that is backwards, see? Okay, so we want to sew them like that. So it makes a nice straight edge here. And we are going to do 4 of those. Okay, so this is kind of tough for me to see when I'm sewing. So I'm just going to lay these out so I can just keep going because I want to make sure I get this right. And now that I've got that one done, I can make sure I get these ones done right as well. So there we go. We got that one now. I'm going to scooch these aside so I have more room here on this little board. And I'm going to do, I like to try to put the right sides up if I can tell which side's the right side. And then this is going to go here like this. Nope. See, this is why I do it ahead of time. Oh, because I don't have that on point, that's why. Okay, so it does go that way. And then we're going to take another one of these. And we're going to put it this way. And now we just got one more. Scooch this over. Yeah, better to get it right than have to start ripping things out. Alright, why don't you want to go? Okay, so now I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to do all of one side and then I'll come back and do all of the other side so we can just chain it real quick. So I'm going to do this one here, line that up. Take it over and give it a press again. Cut them apart though. We are so close. Block 10. Can't believe it. Okay. Give these open press. good. Might be running a little low on water there. Okay. Put these little dog ears off. And then I'm going to put this back to where it goes. Like that. Because you want to make sure these line up. You don't want to rip it out and start again, that's for sure. So taking a little extra time to put it back how it goes makes it easier to visually see that. Alright, so we got our little squares on point. We got the 2 on there. Okay, so now we're going to pick this one up. We're going to put it this way, and we know if we flip it back this way, we're going to be where we want, so we know we want to sew it here. So I'm going to take it over to the machine. And I'm going to sew it there. Almost there. Part. Get them pressed out. Alright, so I'm doing to the dark side again because either way I did it on the other side is going to be to the fabric too. So, make sure. Got that. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, well some of these have some dog ears and some of them don't, so that's weird. So these 2 don't. This one does, so let's get that. Oh, I thought I saw one on this one too. I guess not, just because we have one. That's like never happens, but okay, I'll take it. Alright, so we got that ready, and now we're going to take the rectangle piece and this triangle, and we're going to put these on. And I'm just going to chainsaw them too. And we're going to put it on the left side again, but we're going to put it this way. So this is pointing down and this is on here. And I'm just going to line up these points and give them a sew. So we want to go there. We want to sew down the end. Back over to the ironing board. Another press. Alright. I do believe I am out of steam. I might have to stop and go get some steam. Okay, so we will be right back because we are out of water. Alright, so I went and got more steam, so I was able to iron these. I just finished ironing these real quick, but now we need to cut these little dog ears off again. And Okay, those are ready. Now, let's see, what do we do now? Okay, so we're going to take these and sew these to these. And we're going to take this one and this one, and we're going to sew it like this. So this corner piece that we just sewed on there continues this piece here. And so if you see it broken apart there, we're just going to sew these two pieces together. So I'm going to flip this up, and I'm going to match up this corner, and I'm going to sew it down. Go. Okay. Continue to do that with all 4 of these. We're getting there, I promise. It is a lot because there's 3 separate blocks this month. And then we got another one here. Just going to verify I got that going the right direction. Check twice, sew once, or 3 times if you need to. There's no shame in triple checking. Sometimes I get so confused I have to put it up on a board so I can see. If anybody did in those chandelier quilts, I had to put the chandelier quilt on the board so I could see, because it was just like, okay, I'm getting confused. And you put it up on your board, and it really makes it a lot easier. Alright, here we go. We are on the home stretch now. Now with this one, I put the seam this way on the long piece here, because this one has this in there and it's just bulkier to bend that over. I'd rather bend this over, so I just do it that way. And these are both pretty much dark fabric anyway, so anytime I don't have to iron the bulk over, I do not do that. That's good, it is. Alright. That one didn't stay. And that one curled up. There we go. Move that away. So the way you cut it, the way you sew it, and the way you iron it all makes a huge difference in the outcome of the quilt. Alright. No little dog ears on these ones, really. So now what we're going to do is put it all together and finish it, and then we'll be done. So these 4 corners are now going to go on here. See how we have this going across here? That's all we're going to do. So again, we're going to do one side, and then we're going to do the other side. We're going to press it, and then we'll do the other 2 sides. So what I do is I kind of line this up with this and make this even in between the white piece, and make sure my, oh, I got, I'm going to iron that out, but make sure this is even, and make sure we got just about as much hanging over on each side. But I got a little iron hiccup there. So So we will take this over to the machine. I will line that up and get that even on there. Get it sewed on. The other side. Get that evened up in the middle. Okay. This one you're just going to kind of eyeball because one side might be shorter than the other on one side, and you want to make sure that you get enough running off of the top and the bottom. There we go. Okay. Back on here, make sure we got a nice good pressing, and you know you can't over press it because you the long armor will just love you better for it. It makes the long arming look better, nicer, easier. So anything you can do to help out the long armor, they're gonna love you. Now we're gonna do this side and this side. So again, I'm gonna take it and that is kind of centered there. Make sure each of my ends, like I was saying before, if you didn't get what I was saying, each of these little points at the end should be about the same as well. So you want to, I kind of make sure that it's centered with those pieces, and then make sure I've got enough hanging over each side as well. One more. Yay. That one lined up pretty well. Okay, one last pressing. Well, if you're cold, definitely iron. It really makes it hot in here. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to move this aside again, and we're going to square this one up as well. And again, how big it should be is in your pattern book. And we're just going to make sure we're nice and square here. Okay. This one is a little bit tricky. Go that way. There. Yeah, see, I can cut with either hand, but this hand's still having issues, so I don't like cutting with it because it kind of hurts it still. But it's easier than trying to cut over yourself. All right, ta-da! Block 10, last one, number C, which again, I named them A, B, and C. It's not named that way in the book, but it's the first pattern, the second pattern, the third pattern. See what we did? We did it! So we've got pattern C now, and we got pattern B, and we got pattern A. So this was all block 10. Just one of each. I did two, but just one of each is all you need to do. And it does come together pretty quickly, as you can see. And the cutting was a lot quicker than all the other blocks because we did a lot less cutting, even though we had 3 blocks. So I'm glad that you could join us today. This was a lot longer video, but we had 3 separate blocks to do. And the quilt behind me is Lakeside Looms. Isn't that beautiful? Now, if any of you have ever heard a loom, most people think they're extremely annoying sound. I actually love looms. My great aunt Lila, she lived on a lake, and they had looms, and when I'd stay with her, we'd hear them screaming all night long, and that's what they called it, was screaming. But I liked the sound of it, so I went to sleep to the sound of the looms, and I just loved it. But yeah, I love looms, but these don't look so much like looms to me. What do you think? Put a comment below. I think it looks more like a duck, but what do I know about birds? No? My husband says behind the camera, nope, it looks like a loon to him. So, yeah, I don't know much, but I do know the sound of a loon, and I loved it. But yeah, it's a beautiful quilt. So if you have a cabin or a hunter or somebody in your life that loves the great outdoors, this would be an awesome quilt for them for sure. And we do have quilt kits available for that one as well. Thank you for joining us. I'm Donna DeMarco with Aunties Sewing Kits. If you've liked our video, please give us a like and a thumbs up and ring our bell. We would appreciate it. My husband Dan is behind the camera, and we will see you back here next month for block 11. So we have block 11 and block 12 still to do. And then after we're done with that, we will still have a couple more videos because then we've got the sashing to do, and we've also got the, I think there was something else that we needed to do too. I don't remember what it is right now, but, and then I will quilt it up and show you it quilted too at the end. So, well, we'll see you back here again next month. Thank you and happy sewing.